I get asked all the time, how much money do my AI computers actually make after all the power that they use? Well, today we're going to walk through my entire mining farm, exactly how much every single rig is making and how much it costs in electricity each day. Sneak peek, I'm earning over $36 a day in profit on these rigs, and I'm scheduled to pay them off pretty quickly. Let's dive into it after a quick word from our sponsor.
Today's video is sponsored by VIA BTC. VIA BTC is a highly established mining pool for some of the biggest cryptos, including a top 3 pool for Bitcoin and Litecoin. VIA BTC also supports Kaspa mining and currently holds over 20% of the total hash rate. When mining Litecoin, VIA BTC now allows you to merge mine up to 8 different coins. This includes Litecoin, Doge, Bells, Lucky Coin, Pepe, Junk Coin, Dingo, and Schick. Mining all these coins at once can substantially boost your earnings on your script miners. Additionally, they support auto withdrawals, so you can set it and forget it and just get those payments with no extra headaches. They also have the ability to set up automatic alerts through email and Telegram, so you never miss a minute of mining. Don't forget to refer your friends for extra bonuses and earning potential, and thanks to VIA BTC for sponsoring this video.
So I get comments all the time, sometimes from very uneducated people who say, oh, you're making 3 cents a day and you're spending $1 in power, road to bankruptcy. Well, it's pretty easy to tell that those people haven't watched the full videos or haven't watched videos in the past, because that's just simply not true. So we're going to go through in this video exactly how much each of these rigs is making, and honestly, it's been pretty incredible. And I'm scheduled to pay them off in just about a year's time, maybe even less. So let's start right at the top left here. We have a Zotac 4090. Now this is on Salad. We're gonna go over a spreadsheet that covers all the numbers here. So I'll quickly just walk you through what cards I have and what platforms they're on. This is a 3090. All of my 3090s are on octaspace right now. And for reference, for the specs of all these rigs, every single one has 64 gigs of RAM or more, a 1,000-watt power supply, and then basically everything else is incredibly budget. So this is my one and only 5090. Notice the fans aren't spinning right now. That is a great sign. That means it's earning a bunch of money, but it's not burning much electricity to the point where it doesn't even need to spin the fans because it's not very hot. So this is on Salad as well, though I've had good luck with it on Salad and octaspace. This is one of my 3090s. Notice the fan is spinning on this one, but in general, my 3090s do not use much power at all on octaspace. So all of these are on octaspace. This is another 3090 for the Win 3 card that's on octaspace. And then I have 2 additional 4090s that are on Salad. So overall, I've got 9 rigs down here, and then upstairs in the office, I've got a 5080 that is also on Salad. So let's go ahead, and I want to get into the computer and discuss the exact numbers of each of these. Now, one thing I will also show you, the vast majority of my rigs are hooked up to these smart watt meters. So I can see exactly how many kilowatt hours each rig is using on a day-to-day basis, and that allows me to get very accurate profit predictions, which is what we're going to do shortly. I've got 2 different 15 amp outlets back here that run 6 rigs each, and then a few of them are on 240 volt on my PDU down here. Now, before we dive into the computer, there's a couple things you should probably note about these values. Now, obviously nothing is guaranteed. Now, it just so happens that every single one of my computers is rented out right now and has a job, which means I'm getting paid, but that is not always the case. Right now is definitely one of the better demand times that I've personally seen. You can turn the rig off, turn it back on, and it's gonna find a job within 30 minutes as long as you have the correct hardware, which I do. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I can lose internet and it takes 2 to 3 days for everything to get back kind of on full profit. So today is certainly a kind of average to above average day since everything is rented. Just keep that in mind. Now let's go take a look at the profits. So like I mentioned, I have 10 rigs total. Let's quickly get a high level overview of these, and then we'll really get into the numbers and see, are 3090s better than 4090s? Are 5090s the best? We can take a look at my farm and kind of, if you guys want to buy hardware, then you can see kind of what's working best for me right now. So on Salad, I have 5 rigs, and you can see over the last 24 hours, we have been looking very good. Basically, straight lines mean that it's been rented at a constant earning rate for the last 24 hours. There was a strange little dip right here, but you can see my 5090 made 86 cents during this hour. I've never seen that before. I'm guessing based on all the instability right here, it must have been some sort of glitch in the Salad system. But let's take a look at the aggregate. So over the last 30 days, just my 5 GPUs on Salad have been making a pretty good amount of money. So $20, $22, $21, $20, $19, and then yesterday was my best day yet at $23. So people always say, okay, well, the power cost is $25, so you're actually losing money. Well, that's not the case, and the power cost is actually extremely, extremely low. And so let me show you here. I've got these Govee smart meters, and I'm not going to walk you through every single rig here, but what I did is I can go to the 7-day and I can see the amount of kilowatt hours that are used per day. And that's going to get, and then I'm going to get an average value over the last 7 days. And this is what I used in my calculations. I have a quick spreadsheet here that we're going to check out in a second. So that is how I'm getting my data. So it is legit. It's over 7 days, taking an average. So using that, we can actually see how much of this is profit. But before we get into that, I want to go over my octaspace stuff and also just some over the top numbers here. So over the last 7 days, $150 on Salad. Now that is good to see. That's probably my highest 7-day average ever. And then you can see 3 times that is my last 30 days. So this should actually be closer to $600, but Salad has gotten a lot better over the last week, obviously. So as this amazing period continues, my 30-day should continue to creep up to basically a 4x multiple of my 7-day. My lifetime balance, I've earned over $1,200 on my AI rigs, and in total, they've chopped basically 11,000 hours. Now, I have already cashed out $1,000 to PayPal. It's pretty cool that it does show it in here and the date. So that was not even a week ago, and I'm already $164 towards my next $1,000 payout. So that's pretty good. So now let's talk about octaspace, and this is actually where I've been seeing some pretty insane results. I think what's happened is that as Salad has gained more demand, people are moving off of the octaspace platform and onto the Salad platform. I don't know if it's because they pay cash, which is a very nice feature about Salad, or for other reasons, but that has allowed me to rent out my 3090 rigs for a lot of money. So generally on Salad, and we can look at the network monitor here, 3090s are going to make about 8 cents an hour, but on Salad, they're almost always high-power jobs, which use about 5 cents per hour at my power cost, which means you're only profiting 3 cents per hour, which isn't even $1 a day. So that's not good. That's not going to work. Whereas on octaspace, check out what some of these rigs are rented. Currently, 3 of my rigs are rented at 18 cents. And if we go to the session, this has been going for almost 5 days straight. So 3 of them are rented at 18 cents, but the other 2 lost those 18-cent jobs, and then I had to get them re-rented at 10 cents. But one thing to note, just to check, is if you come to the marketplace, you can see right now there's only 14 3090s available to rent right now on octaspace. So you can basically be the 10th most expensive one and put it at 15 cents, which might take a day to get rented, but if you hold that job for 5 days, 7 days, even longer, that's well worth waiting a little bit of extra time. So what does that turn out to be in terms of profit? Well, that's the other good thing about octaspace, is that it tends to be relatively low power jobs that I get on my rigs. And I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at the spreadsheet here. But my 3090s, we'll jump right to the meat and potatoes here. If we go to profit per day column, the ones that are rented for 19 cents are profiting over $4 a day each, which notice is actually better than my 4090s on Salad, and 4090s cost 3x the amount of a 3090. So honestly, 3090s are still, in my opinion, a very good card for AI right now, because they're outperforming the 4090s, which are, like I said, 3x the price. But let's continue to go through here, because there's a lot of very interesting information here.
So my 5090 right now is profiting about $7 a day. That's one thing that I didn't really highlight too much here, is that my 5090 is finally running a 33-cent job on Salad. For at least the last couple days, it was only in the 24-cent range. So this is definitely very, very nice right here. But what that turns out to be is about $7 in power after power cost, because it's using the most power out of all my rigs at 10.6 kilowatt hours per day, which at 11 cent per kilowatt hour is about $1.17 in power cost. Now my 5080, which is what I am using on this PC right here, and it may actually still be chopping right now because I didn't stop it. No, I guess it stopped automatically. It is generating about 14 cents per hour, and it is using $1 in power per day for a daily profit of $2.37. So not that great. These have all been very high powered jobs on the 5080. Now the 4090s, notice that these are running at 17 cents, 19 cents, and 16 cents. Historically on 4090s, that's not that great actually. So just for reference, if we go to octaspace and look up 4090, looks like there's only 22 of them available. You can see that you can pretty easily get into that 25 cent range and still be in the top 10 cheapest cards available for rent on there. And some people even have them in the 30 cent range. If I switch this to 7 days and only turn on 4090s, we can probably see that a lot of the times these things will be on 26-cent jobs, which correlates to that $6.2 per day number that you see there. So assuming those were actually on the best jobs possible, then the profit on a 4090 goes up to $5.59, which is a lot better and definitely makes it worth it over the 4090 or the 3090, because the 4090 is almost always rented. So that's something to keep in mind, is that I'm making $36 a day right now in profit, and my 4090s could certainly be optimized from here to make even more than they are right now. So we talked a bit about how much money I've made total on Salad. We said the $1,254. Well, what about octaspace? So if we go into the overview page, we can see that we have made $444 on octaspace, and I have cashed out $400 of octaspace. So it's actually a little bit higher than this because I cashed out at a higher price. We're probably closer to like $550 total in octaspace. And you only get paid out in octaspace when your rig rentals end, which in my case, I've had a lot going for 5 to 6 days, so those haven't paid me out yet. So we can probably say about $600 in terms of octaspace. So in total, my farm has made $1,850, but how much did I spend on it? Well, I have a lot of good videos breaking down that, and I'll leave one up here. But in total, I spent $13,000 on all 9 of those rigs downstairs. I'm not going to count my PC here because I just started using it for AI last week, and I already bought it before I was even doing this. So $13,000, we're making $36 a day. What does that mean in terms of return on investment? So if $13,000 divided by 36, it's going to be essentially exactly 1 year. In 1 year from now, and actually less. So what did I say? We've made about $1,850. So we really only have to make $11,150 back. Divide that by 36. And we're actually looking at about 10 months ROI time on these devices. And this includes power supplies, RAM, all of that. So at that point, I will be sitting on 5 3090s, 3 4090s, and 1 5090, basically that I got for free. And if I wanted to, I could sell those back and probably get about $13,000 as well. So that is very good. You cannot point me out an ASIC miner right now that is actually going to ROI itself in a year. In fact, I don't think there's probably been one that's ROI'd itself in a year in at least the last couple years. So in my opinion, this is still the best way to kind of make money with computers. GPU mining is on the way out. ASIC mining is really not in a great spot either. AI right now is kicking butt. Fingers crossed that it continues, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, and the farm is looking awesome. So thanks very much to all you guys for following along on my journey, and I've got a Discord. If you have any questions about this, feel free to join. And if you're interested in starting AI, definitely check out my site, GPU Deals, on your way out. Peace, guys.